Thank you, everybody, for coming. This is CalExit. I'm going to let Daniel answer that question.
14. 14.
What? 14. So that means we've done 13 of these conferences. We've done more than a year's worth of these conferences now. So we are past a year's worth of data. And I'll remind everybody that it works. My favorite story to tell was I went to Daniel's. Daniel was talking to Shankar, and Shankar was explaining all this stuff to Daniel. And then Daniel goes, "Why are you telling me this?" He's like, Shankar's like, "So that you know what I'm doing." And Daniel's like, "I already watched the video. I don't need to talk to you, Shankar. I already know what you're doing. I watched you speak." These videos are perfect. Daniel identified that we had a communication problem. We were trying to get the whole movement together. A lot of personalities, a lot of blah, blah, blah. But one thing we could do was talk. We could share information and give opinion and keep everybody informed. We've been doing it for a year. It works great. And also, I firmly believe this is going to take off within the next year. You don't have to agree. I predicted that California would pursue independence when everybody else laughed in my face, and I was right. So that was a prediction I made. I was dead correct, and all the experts were dead ass wrong. Here's my next prediction. We're leaving America within the next 12 months. Maybe I'm wrong. But I was right before. And everybody said, "Oh, you wrong. You don't know what you're talking about." You were all wrong, and I was right. So maybe think about that this time when I make my other prediction. Why should we listen to you when you were dead ass wrong? You were wrong. I said, yes, said, California will be more independent. California will push back against the federal government. Californians are going to realize they're a different culture with real policy differences. Californians are going to start talking about it ain't cool, we're a donor state. No, 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 no. All wrong. Happened. So next prediction, we got a year. And this communication channel allows us to have the training for all the new members. So we don't have to provide training for everybody. They can literally watch conferences and know what the movement is and how we think. And that's why I really appreciate everybody giving their opinion. We don't always agree on these conferences. Great. We're not a cult. This isn't a hive brain. We're a bunch of thinking people who occasionally disagree with each other. And some of us don't like each other. Okay, but we work together as a team. Everybody's going to see it on the video. These are great training videos. We're getting big. Today, we're going to have a talk about Black Lives Matter and then about the initiative. And I'm going to kick it back to Daniel.
All right, thanks, Marcus. I will disagree and hope I'm wrong that we're going to become independent in a year, but I hope I'm totally wrong and you're right and your prediction is right. So that being said, yes, we're going to start with a discussion on Black Lives Matter. I was talking with Marcus a couple of weeks back or something, and it just came to us. We talked it over. It came to me, and then I talked to him, and he says, "Yeah, totally. That we have really the same agenda with Black Lives Matter. I mean, they're basically, peaceful protests, that's how we want to get independence." And, and we have the same views on changing things, and we could offer California as a solution for change because, there were statistics saying that like a huge, I forget, 80% of African Americans agree that even with all these protests, nothing is going to change for them, or they're very pessimistic of any change. So it goes hand in hand that it would be logical to offer them, at least in California, as a solution, and perhaps in different places, then it could take off on that. But for us, for California independence, we're really on the same page. It would be great to have a partnership with them. They're a huge organization. It would be great publicity if we went on marches with them and things like that. So I just wanted to talk about that real quick a little bit, because I think we should all be trying to reach out, to anybody in those organizations and try to forge some partnerships, friendships, and I don't see why they wouldn't be agreeable to that. But Shankar, you have something to say real quick?
Yeah, are you if you're done, I mean, I'd like to say something about BLM. I don't want to.
Well, yeah, we're gonna go around, and you're gonna get your turn. That's what this panel is.
Please, Daniel, please mute everybody, and then remember, Daniel, you have to control the speakers, please.
Yeah. So Shankar, I'm gonna go to you actually, since you have something to say right now.
Okay.
So go for it.
So BLM. I mean, I've been to a lot of BLM events, and BLM is even, remember back in the day, Daniel, November 4th, 2017 or 2018. It was us and Refuse Fascism on the middle of the street, and all these. In that rally, BLM came up to us several times individually, checked out our booth, read everything, didn't say a word, and moved on. So here's where I assume and I think BLM's position is on California independence is that, and note how careful they've been the past 2 years, because anything that they do is going to be looked at in a negative light. That's just how it's been for them forever. I mean, they've been painted as terrorists, as sponsored by foreign regimes, as murdering cops and murdering white people by the thousands. I mean, these are all labels that people believe to this day about BLM. None of it is true. That they told some of their members to beat up a handicapped white kid because he was a Trump supporter. All bullshit. All of it bullshit. But these right-wing people still believe it to this day. So BLM really careful on who they associate with and how it might be portrayed in the media. They're not friends with the media. They're not looking for friends in the media. They're not trying to be pals, buddy with any of them, because they've all been treated negatively in the press. And it's only after Floyd right now that you see this global sentiment and solidarity with them, and all these, multi-billion-dollar conglomerates now backing them. And now they have actually some money. Look, the last BLM meeting I went to, guys, it was on Franklin, right by your house, Dan. There was maybe 50 of us, and that's because someone just got shot by the cops literally that weekend, and they're trying to raise money for the funeral. And we're about to go march, raising money for the funeral. They are now over $100 million, from what I can estimate, over $100 million flush right now. And how they spend the money, I'm curious. I'm sure they're not going to waste it. But right now, BLM is they're being really, really careful again, because now even more eyes are watching. Now that they've got all this money, they want to see how it's being spent. So I'm not sure if they're going to want to come off as, oh, you want to separate the United States, you want to break apart the whole United States, you hate the United States, you want to break it apart. So I think the best way for us, I think, would be to see BLM that we're in solidarity with them would be actually having something done, legislatively passed, maybe a viewpoint changed, and they can see that the independence movement actually had a backing in that, and which would put us more in a favorable light and as an ally to them. Because right now, I mean, they can't really trust anybody. They never have trusted anybody, and rightfully so, except for maybe the indigenous. And that's my position. So I mean, if we want to be allies with BLM, I would suggest finding one of their concerns out, okay, which is a lot, and then seeing what is the best way to complete that objective and maybe even make a change in that, and then and have BLM see it. Because if they see that shit, man, that's a huge bonus for whatever group is associated with it. And that's what I think. I mean, look at right now, bro. You have the Pride March that happened by your house, Dan. And the Pride March took the theme, all Black Lives Matter, okay? And they painted it on Hollywood Boulevard, bro. Now that's the Pride March hopping on to copying, trademark infringing BLM without even asking, and putting all lives, Black Lives Matter on there, hijacking it. So now, do you think BLM has an ally in the LGBTQ community because of that? I mean, now relations are stressed. And rightfully so, the Pride people apologized for that. They pulled themselves out of the march and said the march is free for all. Go do what you want. And that day when I came down, Daniel, that was a march. There was no, it wasn't it wasn't endorsed by Pride. It was, I mean, they pulled the permits, but they stepped back because they realized what a huge mistake they did by hijacking the whole BLM thing like that. So I agree, man. I mean, we want to work with BLM, great. I think if we do our own thing and make California the way it's supposed to be, they will see, oh, look it. Maybe do some police retraining, back some sort of group, something up that's on their agenda, and they'll see that, man. They will see that. They know, they keep close watch on who's making changes and who's what, to know who's their ally and who's not, man. So that's my take on BLM. I love them. I love those people. They're the best in the world. I feel for them all. I hate going to their rallies and meetings because I cry like a fucking little crybaby, dude, because it's the name, they say the names of the dead, and then their parents are there from the dead people, and it's just, you can't help but feel for them. So I have lots of love for BLM, man. So that's my take.
Thanks, Shankar, and yeah, just to add to that, yeah, not necessarily. I mean, having contacts is great, but also going to their marches with our T-shirts, without preaching or anything, but helping them out, like you said, maybe police, maybe do things like that. So we start being recognized by them when we go. So I agree with you. We have to infiltrate slowly, diplomatically, and not to do what the Pride movement did, for sure, which was a disaster. We certainly don't want to go that way and take over their their motto and what they're fighting for. We can just supplement it, I think. So that's my take on that. I'm gonna give it over to Walter because he's raising his hand. So I'm gonna unmute you, Walter. Why won't it unmute? Can you unmute yourself, Walter? Oh, yeah. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little louder maybe.
Okay, I'll get closer to the mic. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
If you can get a little closer to the mic, it would be helpful.
Okay. Okay, let me.
Or if you can raise the volume maybe.
Oh yeah, good idea. Let me see how to do that. Well, anyway, let me go ahead and not waste time.
Go for it, we can hear you.
Okay. I think it's important to ask BLM what they would think would be good things that we could do in terms of putting things in our plank or something like that. So that would be the first thing. But the second thing I think is to have a national perspective on what they are trying to do. Before the BLM got really active, there has been the reparations movement, and that's been talking about in terms of financial resources, like free college tuition or home ownership assistance or things like this to help the economics of the Black community. But I think it's larger than that, and something that has not been addressed is political reparations. The big problem in the United States is that the power ultimately resolves in the states, and Black people have never been a majority of a state, and so they're always in this position of being a minority. Now that looked like it was not going to be the case after the Civil War, where Blacks had a majority in the legislatures of South Carolina and Mississippi. What I would suggest today is that Mississippi ought to be targeted as a state to become a Black majority state. It is only about 3 million people in the entire state, and Black people are about 38% or 39% of the population. And so I've been wondering why there hasn't been a move to have more Black voters move into Mississippi consciously with the idea of gaining a majority of the state, majority control of the state. If that happened, then Mississippi could go from being one of the most conservative and reactionary states to being one of the most progressive. So I'm wondering if we ought to maybe raise this issue of how we could be supportive, because Black Lives Matter is, of course, a national focused organization, and to say, okay, we would support, for example, efforts to make Mississippi a Black majority state, if that's something that they're interested in. I think they would be, but I haven't seen it being raised as part of the political discourse. But most importantly, it's just simply to ask them what they think would be ways that we could be supportive. I mean, we've been very good about the question of indigenous rights and return of land. So what, you know, I mean, Blacks are, what is it, 4.5% of the California population. So we're not talking as big a population within California, but we could be supportive of them nationally. And so then that would then get them, as the people who live in California, at least, to be allies and part of our efforts. So I don't know if they might have some ideas of things that could be done within California, but I think we ought to go that route. The other point I would want to make, I don't know if everybody has read Hannah's email that she sent out, I believe yesterday or this morning, about this possible plot that Trump might do to take the elections. If that is the case, then I think we ought to have a very strong effort writing letters and phone calls to our legislatures and to Governor Newsom, telling them to defund the National Guard, which can be federalized, and instead put that money into the State Guard, put that budget into the State Guard and the State Naval Militia. If that was done, then we could ask Black Lives Matters to help to recruit people for such a State Guard that would not be able to be federalized. I think this should be a high priority now that we've got the initiative passed to build up that State Guard and make sure that there are people in there that are favoring independence.
Great, thanks, Walter, for that view. They're all great views, and this brings me to the point of Matt that we do need to invite people to find out what really their community would like to see us help them with. That's really important. So to have contact with really organizations or leaders of organizations within BLM would really be beneficial to us. So I'm going to give it over to Matt, that had someone that was going to come on from the BLM.
Well, I have, from the first wave of BLM activism, I had direct contact with BLM, and they are very, very careful and tightly control their narrative, and you can see why. Okay, so that somebody doesn't take something that isn't under their control and spin it out of control. So they're very, very tightly controlling their narrative. That's the official BLM. That's not who I've been contacting, it turns out. I wasn't sure. I would go to these, a lot of them called by BLM, but the people I was talking to weren't necessarily BLM. The people I talked into giving grito aren't BLM, including the person here in Rialto. She's not BLM. She's a supporter like me. So there is a difference between the official Black Lives Matter organization and this scrum of supporters that seemingly come out of nowhere and, lend their strength to event after event after event. Somebody remarked that these, particularly these young people who come out to these things, reminds them of the Chinese Red Guard, seemingly out of nowhere would go do their thing.
That was Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I've observed. And that is where I have been interesting people in our independence movement by a couple of means. One is I bring our liberation flag, and it, elicits questions, and I answer those questions, and that's how I get them to do the grito. The other thing is the question I always ask. I says, well, why all this stuff happening in California? Because we're part of the U.S., but what if we weren't? And start the wheels going in that direction. Again, these aren't official BLM people. These are people who responded to BLM's call, like me, or like Fatima, local activists who responded to their call, but we're doing other things, you see, of our own design. So Marcus had some brilliant suggestions, which I'd like to hear him hold forth on how we can make a key demand of BLM our demand. Okay, once we make that our demand, then they can turn around and say that, well, you made this your demand and then you backed off, and what good are you to us? By not doing that, by actually following through and saying, yes, this is one of our demands, we can gain terrific cred by championing a very key demand that Marcus knows more about than I am, so I'll yield the floor to Marcus.
Great time to segue to Marcus.
One sec, real quick. I just want to throw in there, just so you guys know, BLM and Instagram, they know exactly who Independent California is, my friends. Believe me, if I do not, I make a comment every time they post. I hashtag them on some of our posts. They know exactly who IC is. That's for sure. I'm not going to chime in on what Matt just said about demands. Again, guys, actions speak louder than words. The mayor said that he's going to cut, defund $150 million from he just did apparently. So that's a good thing on his part, but nobody believed him until he actually did it. So actions speak louder than words, guys. So that's all I got to say.
Good. Marcus, do you want to go next on the demand since we're on that topic? Hold on, let me try to unmute you. It's not.
You're on mute, Marcus.
There.
I want to go last.
Oh, you do? Okay.
And I'd like to go next.
Also,
Okay, then Hannah. What, Marcus? Want to say something?
let's keep the comments to 4 minutes. We're half an hour into the conference. I know what's going to happen. We're going to get into the initiative thing, and people are going to be tired, and then we're going to be an hour in, and starting. So,
Okay.
15 more minutes on BLM, and
Yeah.
then could we get to the initiative, please?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll go last.
Okay. And I will say number one, Asian. I'm an Asian American, and as Japanese American, Asians know all about the process of negotiating as minorities, right? Even in California, only 12% of Californians are Asians. Two, population in Mississippi, an interesting subject. I've actually been to Mississippi and Louisiana, spent some time there in my life. You're ignoring the effect of voter suppression and other factors. I mean, Texas is a great example. You've got districts all over the place in Texas which are minority Hispanic, and yet they're ruled by white people. And there's something going on there. It's a whole lot more complicated than simply the census data. What you're talking about here regarding whites, Hispanics, and whoever else wants to march in the name of BLM is what you call affinity groups. And you've seen a real phenomena of that all over the place. I mean, there's, because you've had BLM demonstrations in places where there's virtually no black people at all, because people feel strongly about it, which is, and the BLM people who are really the leaders behind it, you know, the Patrice Cullors and people like that, they're quite familiar with how important that is actually for the success of their movement. The last point I want to really hammer on here is, what we really are seeing here is that we should be focusing, you should be focusing on getting power. Power in political, in terms of media, power and ultimately, or whatever, and also electoral power. If we, you know, it was a real step when Marcus even got on the LinkedIn of a LinkedIn request from the current Senate Majority Leader, right? Because we've been talking about how now this guy seems to be actually on the way. He's actually term limited, and so if you didn't know that, so he seems to be like thinking about moving into statesman category. Who knows what is really going on in his mind? But the fact is, he's taking Marcus seriously, that's a first step. I mean, if there were one state assembly member who was like an active supporter of California independence, that would be a lot of power, which we would be able to use. We don't even have that. I'm producing content. Nobody seems promoting it. I can only do so much. I can only do so much if I'm going to create content. There's a great video out, I could share it around, by a guy named Tom Scott, who is a big YouTuber. And it points out that, hey man, all you have to do is keep putting out content, because something, if you keep doing it over and over again, something's going to go viral. And he had one video that went out that got 1 million hits, and all of a sudden he became a star YouTuber. And it was really a dumb thing, by the way. So I've been starting. Yesterday I was exploring with Reddit and trying to use Reddit to try to find a way to get in. But this is really what everyone's, I'm going to say this, everyone's focus should be on this, is becoming influential, spreading information. If you can't produce content, it's fine. Don't produce content. Find content that other people are producing and spread it around. Go on, you know, newspaper comment sites saying, well, CaliforniaLiberation.com, they know what they're doing, or anything like that. Or yes, Cal, or you take your choice. Because once we start getting, you know, if we could get 10,000 people a day checking out California Independence websites, Marcus and I, right, we did Google Analytics. We looked at keyword searches.
No,
we
we
found
gotta
out,
cut it short
I'm
now.
cutting short.
Yep.
But we actually know now that only about what, 1 to 10,000 to 10,000, something like that. Just a few thousand people a year, a month, search for anything about California secession, and that's the most popular keyword phrase, if you didn't know that. So we've got to work on that. Work on that. The rest of you want power from, you want to have BLM paying attention, make sure that you make yourself worthy of being paid attention to.
Thanks, Anna, for that. I'm gonna go to Joe. Joe, we haven't heard from you. I'm gonna unmute you. If I can. I have to press this button like 50 times.
Oh, can you hear me?
Are you? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I'll try to be brief.
Okay.
So I believe that our fight is BLM's fight. BLM's fight may not necessarily be our fight. But what I would like to show them is that this is a possible solution for them. I think right now they're not looking at that as a solution, but let's offer that. I think what we need to do is work with BLM with a lot of caution. And I say that because I kind of look at BLM as almost a like an abandoned, like a wounded animal, like an abandoned pet, you know, that they've been wounded, they've been treated so badly for so long. And we come along and offer a hand, they're not going to look at that as an offer of help. They're going to look at that as every other hand that's treated them badly. And so I just want to be very careful with them. I don't want to scare them off or do anything that's going to make them feel like, see, they're just like everyone else, you know? Let's see. I don't want them to feel like we're taking over their message. What BLM, I think, should understand, what I would love them to understand is that they have a lot of power in CalExit. Whether we say anything or not, they do. If CalExit happens, BLM steps in day one and says, hey, we demand this, and it's going to happen. And that's, you know, whether we are involved in this or not. If BLM cannot support CalExit itself, can we support an offshoot organization of BLM that would? There's a lot of support, a lot of supporters, like Matt was saying, there's a lot of supporters of BLM. Can we have some of those people maybe create another organization, something, you know, for BLM for CalExit? We can maybe have something like that created. And then the only other note that I have is in our messages that we are putting out, in our messages, our speeches, etc., our tweets, we should show support for BLM, but not in a way where we're just saying, hey, we support BLM. You know, we should say, you know, keep it on point, keep it on topic, and say, like, here's the reasons why we want to leave. And it goes right on par with what they're saying, but let them see what we're saying. Let them connect the dots. You know, don't just come out and say, you know, hey, we're for BLM, you know, 100% of the time in every tweet that we're saying. You know, say what we're going to say. Let them connect the dots and see how it benefits them. And that's it. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Joe. I mean, that was my point. The first thing I said was that we could be a solution and to them, and they don't really have much to lose. But like you said, be very careful. Like Shankar, everyone said. I agree with that. Walter, I'll come back to you, but there's a few people that still haven't spoken. Hal, you want to go next? Go for it.
Hello, everyone. Okay. First off, Shankar put it out there, and I'd like to reiterate what I believe the best thing for the California independence movement to do is to support locally, physically, at their rallies, at their marches. We come out, we fly the colors, and we march side by side, shoulder to shoulder. These actions louder than words. When anyone asks, the reason is simple. Human rights is a California value. Human rights are California values. Their rights are what we consider values. But let's be clear. From a national standpoint, I believe Black Lives Matter is heading for tragedy. They are already beginning to lose steam with media coverage. They're already being called by one political party thugs, villains, terrorists, etc. We know how this game plays out. We've watched it time and time again. But there's no money in pointing this out. The best role we can play is to be there with an alternative. In California, Black lives are a California value, like everyone else's. You're valued as a Californian, as a person, here. So our messages cross. They remember us as being the supportive people who were there all along. I don't see how we can help them in Mississippi or Georgia or anywhere else. And I honestly view that as a waste of time. Not like California's had any luck whatsoever influencing these places in any sort of positive way for the past, what? How long has Martin Luther King been dead? 50 years? 50 years and no change. I think they need to be prepared for the fact that they're not going to get what they need from the U.S. government. That's when, having seen us walk side by side, shoulder to shoulder, telling them that their values match our values on this, is important. And it's most important because it will be honest. I'm done.
Thanks, Al, for you. I'm gonna go, Jeff. Are you there? Do you want to say something? Let me unmute you if I can again. Jeff does not want to be unmuted somehow. Jeff, okay, I can't get you to unmute, so I'm gonna go to the next person and work on that. There's someone, Bob, did you want to say something, or you just wanted to, you put something on the chat? So I'm not sure if you want to talk or not.
Yes, in chat.
In chat, okay. So if, guys, if you want to see what Bob Scott wanted to say, it's in the chat. And we have, next we have a someone from Return California. I don't know who that is. I'm going to unmute you. Or unmute yourself. I don't know why I'm not having control over the mute here.
It's John Pomeroy. I'm just listening.
Oh, John. Okay. How you doing, John?
I'm great. How are you
You
guys?
want to say
Big
something?
Johnny P.
What's up, Shankar? No, I'm just listening.
Okay. Okay, great. So and let me see if Jeff is still here. Jeff, if you're here, you got to try to unmute yourself because I can somehow it's blocking me. But so we've gotten to everyone except Marcus, I believe. Yes, well, Walter wanted to say real quick something in rebuttal. So
Yes,
go ahead.
just to particularly respond to the BLM discussion. 2 years ago, the NAACP said that mass incarceration in the criminal justice system is the civil rights movement of this generation. And so I think if we highlight criminal justice reform in opposition to mass incarceration and police brutality, these kinds of law enforcement issues, that will automatically show BLM activists that we are very supportive of their current issues. And so I think we ought to emphasize that in our web postings and this sort of thing.
Good point, Walter. Thanks.
Yeah, Walter's absolutely 100% correct. There's an offshoot of BLM called Reform Jails. I'm friends with them on Instagram and on Facebook for Independent California. Check it out. Yes, that is an offshoot right there that we could help support. Maybe do some legislation. Maybe be an ally in the events that they throw. But that's a perfect one, Walter. Thank you for bringing that one up.
Okay, I see there's Stephen that I skipped you. I didn't see you before. Do you want to say something, Stephen? No, Stephen, are you there? I guess not. What? On the chat? Marcus, what are you saying? Go ahead.
I'm saying that Daniel's going to unmute you, and then a box pops up in your screen. You have to click unmute for Daniel to hear you.
Okay.
So Daniel's trying to unmute you. If you don't click that button, we can't have you join in. And we want to hear what you have to say.
I didn't know that because I don't see that on my.
Yeah, Daniel, you unmute them, and then they have to accept the unmute on their side.
Oh,
so
okay.
People, Daniel, try to unmute them one more time. Let's
Okay.
see if they get it. If not, I'll go. But I want to make sure everybody gets a shot.
Yeah, me too. So I'm asking Jeff, but no response from Jeff. And Stephen is unmuted from what I can see. So
Stephen?
Maybe he doesn't want to say anything. Stephen, did you want to come on? Okay. Okay, so I guess we'll go to you, Marcus, now.
Okay, I'll do the last segment. Thank you all for being here. Obviously, this isn't the end of the conversation. Please bring BLM activists. If you bring a BLM activist, we'll do a whole panel about it. And we can go into whatever they want to talk about. Standing invite. Anybody anywhere in our nation gets a BLM activist. I'm from LA, I'm from San Diego, and God damn it, I want to talk about this. Great, come on. We'll do an hour panel. You talk about whatever you want, and we'll only have the conversation on what you want. Standing invite. Daniel and I already talked about it, so any BLM activist anywhere. And please, when you talk to BLM, remember that movement started in California. Patrice Colors started it. She's from the Bay. She said, hey, Black Lives Matter to all of America. And the first person that responded to her was Alicia Garza from California. Why didn't anyone else who's African-American in the entire rest of the United States be the second person to dramatically respond to her? Why was it a California? You'll see BLM talk about 3 main leaders. That third person was brought in after the nucleus, the gel had formed with Garza and Colors. That is a fact. Calor started it. No one in America responded except for Garza. Together, those two Californians representing South and North started the movement. Additionally, there's someone called Colin Kaepernick, who was raised in California and started the kneeling move. If you look at the Black Lives Matter protesters, you'll routinely see the kneeling move as also symbology used. Here's the thing. Colin Kaepernick did not invent the kneeling stance. A fellow Californian did. Colin Kaepernick sat, and then he was talked to by a Caucasian Californian who was in the military and said, I get what you're saying, and I get respect, but let's also be respectful of the armed forces. Together, that Californian and that Californian invented the kneeling stance. So we have Black Lives Matter, 2 Californians, kneeling stance, 2 Californians. Historical fact, there was no Americans involved in the creation of that. Look it up, don't take my word for it. They don't talk about this, I looked it up, no one brings this up. That is a fact. There's more African Americans in America by far than there is in California. How come all the big activist ideas about making African American lives come from Californians? Huh. Offensive? I don't care. Folks, these are facts. Documented. Don't care what anybody says. Facts. So let's start there. I want to talk with a couple comments. I absolutely agree with Shankar. Actions speak louder than words. And I absolutely agree with Joe that, hey, every other person turned on Black Lives Matter. And I absolutely agree that we need to show the Black Lives Matter movement where we stand, just like our movement has done with the Indigenous. And that's the model I'd like to call on. 3 years ago, Yes California by itself, with no backing from anyone else, said, you know what? All federal land needs to be returned to the Indigenous. If the Indigenous choose, like Matt Owens has said, to run that land with California, great. Matt Owens right on was saying, look at the San Bernardino model, Indigenous and Californians jointly manage the whole thing, works out great, super empowering. But it was their choice. Nobody backed us. Nobody said anything. We are on our 2nd Indigenous listening tour with our 3rd tribal chief saying, yeah, great idea. Glad to have the land back. Thanks for talking about it. You know how awesome Yes California looks now? 3 years ago, we said this, you guys are fools, you're idiots, you're stupid. Now we have Indigenous chiefs saying, thanks for saying that. No one else says that. Not other Indigenous, not other activists, not AIM, nobody. Just you and Cal Exit. And while we Indigenous didn't trust you at first and were skeptical, we noticed that you kind of stuck your neck out and said, this is what's right, God damn it, and we're doing it. We're not asking, we're taking a stance. And we kept that stance for 3 years. You know how much street cred Yes California now has with the Indigenous? There are Indigenous people now talking about Yes California that have never met a Yes California person. It's because we took a stance by ourselves and didn't ask for permission. It's because we said something for them and we didn't ask them to back us. We just said, we're doing it because it's right. And it's because we stuck with that for years that now we have all the street cred in the world and we're only going to get more. So I'd like to point something out. Professor Williams, you're an awesome person. You're very scholarly. I'm only saying this because I've been in the movement. Not everyone has backed returning all federal land to the Indigenous. CNP never did that. CFC never did that. Other Cal Exit people never did that. So we do not have a movement that has universally backed returning federal land to the Indigenous. Not true. It is still Yes California, and I think IC said a couple positive things, and no one else in the movement.
No.
So,
the point is that Yes took a stance, no one backed us. Half the movement still hasn't backed us. Guess who ain't gonna get any street cred from the Indigenous? You screwed up. You had your chance to jump in, you didn't. Train left. Indigenous aren't gonna let you on that train. They're gonna go, hey CNP, hey CFC, where were you 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago? You didn't say nothing when you had the chance. Suddenly it's all big and you support it. they're going to look god awful. Now, I begged them to join. No, we know better. No, you don't. Now you're going to get screwed. So let me propose another solution. Patrice Cullors herself wrote the exact legislation she wants for police reform. We don't have to guess what they want. She literally did it herself. It's called AB 694 or 692. Forgive me for the term. Look at the Patrice Cullors Police Reform Initiative. It did two things. It said you had to prove that there was no other resort but killing in order to do that, to get away with it. And you had to de-escalate the situation. If you couldn't show that you tried to de-escalate and that there were no other alternatives but killing that person, then you automatically go to trial. Lawyers said that that was the strongest change in laws relating to law enforcement since 1812. Huge change. Shirley Weber is in the news now as the top African-American politician, talking about change and we love African-American people and we're going to do this and that. She's all over TV. Reparations, and this is about economic reform and Black people matter. And Shirley Weber is the person who stabbed Patrice Cullors in the back. Shirley Weber made that legislation with Patrice Cullors a few years ago. Black Lives Matter said, this is great. This is how we do police reform. And then a week before the bill was supposed to go, Shirley Weber cut out all of the key legislation. Black Lives Matter slammed the legislation. Then Shirley Weber passed it. The California Assembly backed her. Other African-American legislators backed it. And Shirley Weber said it was a great day for justice. Patrice Cullors probably vomited in her own mouth when that statement came out. So let's recognize what happened 3 years ago. Black Lives Matter made legislation. They worked with the California politicians. They said, we got your back, and then they stabbed them in the back 1 week before. Shirley Weber is now on the TV again saying, I got this all fixed and I'm gonna lead and we're gonna fix it for African Americans. Do you think she's fundamentally changed her tune or she's still a politician? You tell me which one you think is gonna happen. So I see Black Lives Matter getting set up for another round of pain and disappointment. And I see a successful model. I will pledge today, but I'm not doing it alone. So I'm putting the burden on you all, calling you all out as friends, as fellow Californians. If Independent California and Compact are willing to say that, yes, we want to, as an independent California, back AB 694 the way that it was written by Patrice Cullors. Yes, California will automatically back that, and we will be able to say that the Cal-Exit movement in whole effectively is saying we are pursuing this legislation. No, we didn't ask BLM. No, we didn't ask for permission. We did it because we knew it was right, and we keep doing it. They're not going to come around right away, but if we keep sticking that out and we stick our necks out as a group and we say this is right, God damn it, and we're doing it and we're going to follow through with an independent California, a year from now, yes, we will have BLM's cred, but you have to stick your neck out first. I saw it work, and folks, yes, it's looking great with the indigenous now, and the people who didn't join with us are going to look horrible. So I stand with you, ready today. Compact, Independent California. When you are ready to say we will back SB 694 the way Cullors did, yes, California will automatically stand with you, and we will do that. But I ain't doing it alone. So I'm putting it back on the movement. You want us to stand together, take the right step, follow a model to win? I'll follow you. And I'll leave it there. Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, Marcus, for that. And just to end this topic, just wanted to say, yeah, I agree with Marcus that we should treat BLM exactly like the indigenous, like we're dealing with them. They're very sensitive groups, both of them. You can't just enter and say, here we are, or whatever. We have to show them that we're supportive and not throw down our agenda. And this is what we've said in general with a lot of groups, with the homeless, with this. We should be out there. If we were able to be out there past this virus, we should be there to support, have our t-shirts on and support them and say, we're here to support, what can we do? It was mentioned very early on. It's not what can you do for us, it's what can we do for you. That's how you get the respect of these organizations. And after a while, they'll reciprocate when they trust. They have to trust. They're very sensitive groups. They're not going to trust you. The indigenous, we just started, like Marcus said, to get there where they're recognizing us. But for the longest time, they didn't even want to hear. They didn't want to hear about us. They didn't want to do, and Black Lives Matter may be the same thing. So we have to start the groundwork now. Having said that, so now, Marcus, we're going to go to Hal. Is that?
We're going to go to the initiative,
Point of-
starting with Hal, and Hal's going to talk for about 15, 20 minutes about
Point of
the
information.
initiative and Independent California and their leadership.
Okay,
Point of
Hannah, real quick.
information.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, Marcus, it's not AB 694 may not be the correct number or the right year. I looked it up online. I can't find anything of it. So we'll have to get that clarified in the future.
Look at my YouTube video on African Americans are ready to revolt, called the BLM response video. It has all the citations and facts for everything in the description and in the comments below. And that is the BLM response video on my channel. It's the only one there. Has everything.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys, so we're going to move on. We're going to close this discussion and go on to the initiative, and Hal is going to speak about it and introduce it, and then we will go around the room. Hal, it's all yours.
Thank you, Daniel. Well, time to talk about the initiative. And to give Marcus a little shout out, even going back to 2016. Come on, show up. There it is. One of our original clipboards. All right. Actually, I'm going to leave it to others to talk about the initiative, the scope, and what is in it and where it's going to be. And of course, we haven't yet, and we will not until later on, receive how many signatures we're actually going to require. But what I'm here to talk about is IC, Independent California, and the structure that we are going to use to put forward the initiative. Basically, from this point on, we have somewhere between 20 and 45 days, so I'm going to shoot for 30. Talk about 30 days. 30 days to begin preparing the groundwork necessary to start signature gathering. Now, I'm going to start laying this groundwork basically in the face of COVID-19. I cannot control whether this is going to impact us or how badly it's going to impact us. I've already basically told a few people that this is going to create problems for us. There's no doubt. Having said that, what Independent California is going to be doing is rebooting the original Yes California idea of local chapters. We're going to need to start building up the local chapters. Now, I've spoken to a few people, and for anyone else who would consider it, we're going to need a lot of local chapters. This is basically going to be people who are going to be doing the bulk of the walking around and collecting the signatures and talking the talk of the Cal Exit movement, of CIM. And honestly, what we're going to do is we're going to run this through IC, because IC's been the ground unit for the last year or so. This is not requiring everybody to become card-carrying members of Independent California, but Independent California is going to furnish things like training and coordination and hopefully a lot of the materials that are going to go into this effort. To that end, I've spoken with Shankar and I've spoken with a couple of other people. we are not able, since we're not able to get together physically, we're going to have to transfer a lot of what we're doing online. That means that we're talking to like Michael Beecher, who is the expert on how to put together a clipboard and how to train people to collect signatures. What I want to do is it's like he taught me back in 2016. I'm going to have him put it onto video so that we can distribute it. Shankar is going to talk about talking points, how we're going to present it. I'm going to focus on what you're going to need to have to basically do this. Some of the finer points of basically street interaction. I'd like to get Matt's help on this as well, and of course Hannah's help, and anybody else who'd like to pitch in. This is going to be crunch time, and it's going to be go time. Figure we have about 30 days to put the basic structure in place. That means that what I'd like to form up with anybody who is willing to, and some people who I'm going to actually draft, to be chapter leads. The job of the chapter leads is going to be to teach the teachers. You know, we're going to send the videos out, and the chapter leads are going to be the ones who are going to teach their people. Now, to be a chapter lead in a location and to gather signatures really only takes 3 or 4 people. But hopefully with those 3 or 4 people, you know, and find people we're gonna hopefully find people that you trust, that will allow you to introduce yourselves to more and more, and we will grow the movement on the grassroots level at that point. It's like, I am very proud of being involved with the initiative, and thank you, Marcus, and thank everybody for being there on the 3rd. I think that was terrific. Having said that, we have 30 days basically to start putting this in place. That terrifies me, which is probably good, as well as everything else that is on the plate and under development. So for those who are interested in becoming local leads, as well as interested in helping me get these videos together, we're also going to be putting together the swag package. That's going to include handbook, T-shirts, stickers, just like voting. It's like, I've already talked to somebody about basically little 2-inch stickers. You sign on the dotted line, you get the little sticker on your lapel. These are the things that we're going to be talking about and that we're going to be doing. So I'd like to set up a meeting for this in a week or 2. Ideas, and I need people to volunteer and who want to get involved in a direct hands-on manner. Thank you.
Thanks, Hal. So yeah, anybody that's interested, please contact Hal. And let's help them out. This is a big deal, and it's a big
lift.
Undertaking. It's a huge undertaking. So if you can help, please do so. Marcus, you want to start out something about the initiative, or do you want to go last? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll do some basic facts on what we did last time to attach to what Hal's saying, and then also the technical thing on the initiative. And then I'm going to be quiet and just listen to other people's opinions on how do we sell this initiative. The key thing right now is for everybody to be thinking about, how do we explain this to the public? What are the phrases that we use? What are we saying? What is that word that you say on the street and people go, what? I was going to dismiss you, but now you said something and now I think I need to talk to you for a second. You're never going to get a, yes, I agree, let me sign. The best thing you can do, what Beecher taught me, was suspension of disbelief. They have their worldview. It's all nice and neat. They're walking along, and you say or show something that pokes a hole in that. Now they're walking around with some big hole in their worldview, and your brain can't do that. Your brain likes a nice, neat worldview. You poke a hole in it, and it goes, okay, what is that? I need that hole filled so that I can feel like the world makes sense. Beecher was awesome at figuring out So what happens when your kids can't go to college because you subsidized the KKK members in Alabama? What? My daughter doesn't go to, no, she don't get to go to school. There ain't going to be cheap university. You paid for racists in Louisiana. I did? You didn't know that, homie? Well, perhaps you'd like to talk, and I can walk you through this initiative. Poke a hole in their head. How do we say that? I don't know. You know, and you're going to figure it out as a movement. And there's probably 15 different answers. And they probably based on who you're talking to and at what time. And probably some of them could just be waving around a flag with a red star, and that gets people talking. Maybe that's not your thing. Maybe you're a jibber jabber and you like telling jokes. Maybe that's it. These are the selling points. These are the talking points. This is the reason we had to have this conversation. Hal provided the most important information for this meeting. But the most important product of this meeting is going to be all of you thinking, how do I sell this? Folks, I don't have the right answer. Don't look at me. Don't look at Hal. It's going to be us. And you're going to be doing it by experimenting and going, oh, don't say that. Whoops, mark that, try this. I went to 15 Starbucks a month before and talked to 200 people. Bought random strangers. And by the time I was done, I knew exactly what to say. I had 5 key phrases that would stop anybody in their tracks. And they go, what did you say? And now we had a conversation. That was experimentation. My first guesses were not accurate. The public will tell you what the right thing is. Listen to what Hannah says. Listen to the market. The market has the answer. So that's why we're here. You have to come up with the selling points. Now I'm going to go into the facts. Here are the facts. The initiative is filed July 3rd. It's already on the Attorney General's office. It is approved. We are waiting 20 to 45 days. Typically it's 45, as Jason pointed out to me. Sometimes it could be 20. Typically 45. Yes, it could be earlier. So early to mid-August, we expect to say, hey, you're going to get signatures. Here's the key thing. They don't tell you ahead of time. You get some email saying go. And that means the second that email gets in your box, the clock starts from then to X, you have signature. There's no warning. They don't send you an invite. They're just like, I remember one time we lost 2 days because they didn't bother to tell me. And they go, we posted it up on the site. You didn't check? No, I thought you were going to tell me. So it's going to be out of blue. You're going to hear nothing at all. And then one day it's going to be go. That's how they work. It sucks the way it is. We have to collect 623,000 signatures. Now, here's the thing. That is a lot. The way the signature gathering is based upon the last general election. So when we were doing this initiative in 2015, 2016, that was based upon the voting of the previous election, which means our signature threshold was lower. We had a massive turnout election in 2018 because people didn't like this guy with orange hair. So turnout was higher, which means signature gathering is higher. Instead of 1.2 million signatures, it is 623,000. So we did get the easier option. It's just, folks, people are voting like crazy. So I know that's a higher number. We are not changing the Constitution. We are changing the law. We did that so it's easier to get the signatures. So bear with me. We did everything we could. But Californians like voting. Here's the benefit of that. If Californians are really politically active, and that's why the numbers are higher, they're going to be even more interested into signing a petition. So yeah, you have more people you have to get, but yeah, they're agitated and active and ready to be involved. It's not all bad, folks. It's a mixed bag. Yes, there's more people, and yes, people are antsy for stuff like this. You can go out to any store, get the signatures. We'll have roughly 5.5 months from roughly mid-August to collect all the signatures and turn them in. Hal's absolutely right. You need to be able to say, hey, we're ready in about 30 days. Here's the thing. It's not a great idea, but it is a fallback. The media isn't going to really beat up on you pretty hard for the first 3 weeks if you appear to get started. So when we start, yes, we have training. Yes, we have petitions out. or maybe the petitions are coming in a few days, but if you look like you have your ducks in a row, they'll give you about 3 weeks before they really come around and start saying, you guys don't know what you're doing. You look like amateurs. Because they know that you can't make the petition until you actually get approval. So we can't collect signatures before. We can't even show the people what the petition is. CA Gov releases it to you, and the day they say you're approved, that's when you finally see the text you're able to show the public. With the title, you're able to show the public. So there's no prep work, there's nothing. The news knows that. So we need to be organized. We do not need to be perfect. However, 3 to 4 weeks after we launch, yes, we would need to be perfect. That doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes and someone popped off, but generally the news needs to see petitions are going out. People have watched the training. They are approaching their grandma. They are asking friend in the street. They are coordinating with the central hub. Yeah, someone said something racist on some tweet. That's stupid. That guy was kicked out. Yeah, someone blah, blah. They're kicked. There's going to be mistakes, but that's what they're looking for. So be ready when we're there, but it doesn't have to be perfect for about 3 to 4 weeks. You have a little bit more gaming room, but then after 3 weeks, yes, they will be coming around going, you have it going, right? So there's a deadline, and then there's a little bit of a gaming room too. So just a blah, blah, blah. Anyways, there's 2 ways that we're gonna need to do this. So the reason that I wanted to work with Independent California, and Independent California is in all the promotion. All the photos of us filing this thing is 2 yes and 2 IC. Perfect balance of organizations. 2 yes, 2 IC. There is no photos where it's not like that at all. We did that intentionally. The media cannot find any photo that says, it's just a yes thing. It's yes and IC. Everything says that. All the signatures, all the photos, all the video, everything. So we're already there. The key point is that go back to 2016. Yes, California had been in the Sacramento Bee, San Francisco, LA Times. We were on TV in 2 different cities at one time. We had 10,000 members and we had about 5 chapters. But we weren't big. You know, we had media presence, but they weren't like, oh. But then Trump got elected. And we were the only people saying, let's secede. And we had bumper stickers and flyers and a webpage. And it didn't look like it was written on cardboard 5 minutes before. So the media gave us all sorts of attention. Well, Independent California, and I want to repeat this, Independent California is where Yes California was in November, early 2016. Independent California today is the only California independence movement group that is where Yes California was November 4th, 2016. You have multiple media mentions. You have been on television 5 times in multiple cities on network TV. The media is going to go ape over you guys. They just need a good reason. We didn't know Trump got elected. Trump got elected. That was our spark. Something tells me something's going to melt down in America in the near future, and you're going to have your spark. I don't know what it is, but it's coming. So IC is ready to take over. A lot of you don't like the whole Russia baggage and stuff that Yes had. Here's how we get out of it. I've waited for this moment for 3 years. I cannot transfer the email list to IC. That's against the law. I cannot transfer the Facebook members to IC. They don't work that way. All the CalExit movement of 100,000 people on email and 40,000, 50,000, 70,000 on social media has to see new leader, new leader. And then they choose themselves to go to IC. I can't make them do that. But I am committed to going, look at IC, look at IC, look at IC, look at IC. And when they see chapters, and when they see people providing training, and when they see videos of NBC, MSNBC TV interviewed Matt Owens on the street collecting signatures and he had an IC shirt, where are they going to go? Who's the new leader? And they can't tack that Russia thing on you. This was my plan, to transfer everything to IC. You get the street cred. I cannot give you the members. You have to basically prove to them that you're the guy, the team. This is how you do it, this initiative. You're going to get a ton of press on this initiative because you were all over it. So the press is coming. If IC is able to be the front runner on providing the training and the petitions and everything, you will be the leader. Everybody will see you. People will come to your chapters. Yes, California will keep all our members, so we can keep doing membership and we can keep doing publicity. But IC can grow and be the group that the media can't put garbage against your name and have it stick. That's the plan, folks. So back IC taking over. If you hate the Russia thing with yes, this is how we get out of it. This is the best answer I've been able to think of. This is it. You're either all going to back IC with this, or I don't have another answer on how to get rid of that baggage, folks. This is the best I got. Please back IC on this. This is why I wanted IC to be leaders. This is the only way I could figure out how to get out of this shit. Back them. Now, let's get to another thing real quick. I'll be done in about 4 minutes. I'm sorry, there's some technical things to cover. 2016, talked to Shankar Singham. Shankar Singham went to a meeting in Orange County with 30 members who wanted to join Yes California right then. This is after Trump won. Someone was supposed to cover a meeting in Denny's or something a mile away, and they couldn't make it. So Shankar gets there 30 minutes late, and Shankar is yelled at and screamed, and he is treated horribly and very mean. In fact, if you talk to Shankar, he'll talk about meeting those 30 people at Denny's and how he was scared of them. You know what they were mad at Shankar about? They wanted to join an independence movement and secede, and there wasn't anybody to take their signatures. It wasn't even Shankar's meeting. He shows up and he's like, I don't know where the coordinator's at, and I'm here. And they're like, God damn it, Shankar, I'm ready to leave. I need my signature page now. Where are you? That's a good problem to have. People angry to get ready to go and angry to join. So here's how Yes did it. We need to be ready, or IC needs to be ready for 2 types of people. What I call the I need help and I want to feel like I'm part of a community, and the get out my way. I'm ready to go. The get out my way people are going to say, I want to print out the petition on your site. I want to watch a couple training videos. I want to type in a thing and you send me stickers and a shirt, and I don't have to talk to you and I don't get any guff. If I want to call you, you can leave a phone number, but I'm ready to secede and I don't need nobody telling me what to do. I'm ready to go. So you're going to have thousands of members going to the IC page, giving their email, donating, joining the IC email list, joining the IC Facebook page, because you have all the resources. You're the one-stop shop. Sure, Yes California has a picture of the petition. You can print it off there. We have a training video, but we don't have all the training videos, and we don't have the coolest stickers. That's IC. IC is the one-stop shop. The other group is the community, and that's why the chapters are great. When Yes California had 12 chapters, the media was all over us. I remember when we had 20 chapters, we got international TV. Just because we said we had 20 people around California. So there's 2 ways to do this. You have chapters with 30, 60 people in them. That impresses the news. Or you have 12 chapters with just 5 people. Equally impressive. You don't have to get a bunch of people on in one room. You get a bunch of people spread out through California, the news is going to go, oh my God, this place is the spread. So how? I want to tell you that I already told people about your chapter plan. They totally got it. Jason Wright out of Marin, Joe Payne out of Delano, Mark Sevens from Fresno, and John Simha from Grass Valley all want to be chapter leads, and they all have Independent California shirts, and they're ready to follow whatever orders you have out because people get it. The bigger number of chapters, folks, the more this sells. I'm not asking you to back IC. I'm not asking you to believe in everything Hal says. I'm asking you to recognize the more chapters IC is able to say, we all win. They see 13 things, they see 20 chapters, they see 30 chapters, more media, more international attention. So don't like Hal, don't like IC. Join a chapter, offer a chapter. We all win. This is how we get out of Russia. This is how we get the media back that we're here, we're doing it, and it's going, and nobody can take it down. And the way I sold John Stemha on them was I said, look, can you do coffee twice a month at Starbucks and we'll pay for the coffee? 1 hour, 2 Saturdays a month. where people can know and they can meet you and you can have a chapter meeting, give you a shirt, give you coffee. Sure. And that's how we grew chapters, because people knew, oh, that Starbucks is in my town. I can go and meet people and get shirts and get gear, and mostly just talk to other people who are in this and get energized to go out and collect signatures. That's really why you have Starbucks. So, one-stop shop, chapters, IC takes the game. IC's front runner. When we never have to deal with baggage from Russia again. You don't back IC, they don't get the chapters, they don't clear the one-stop shop, we're all still dealing with Russia bullshit. So do what you want. This is the best solution I have thought of. I hope you're willing to back it. You can make whatever decisions you want, but this is it, folks. So last thing I need you to know. Here's how we win. I need you all to write down 2 names. I need you all to write down 2 names. This is homework for everybody. This is mandatory homework for everybody. Mandatory homework for everybody. You need to write down 2 names. Here they are. David Bonet. That's David Bonet. David Bonet. David Bonet. Last name is B-O-H-N-E-T. That's B-O-H-N-E-T. D-A-V-I-D. Last name B-O-H-N-E-T. B-O-H-N-E-T, David Bonet. He invented GeoCities. He invented GeoCities. It's a big company. I'm sure you've heard of it. The other person I need you to write down is Sean Parker. That's Sean Parker, S-E-A-N, space P-A-R, well, Parker. Sean Parker. That's S-E-A-N, space P-A-R-K-E-R. He invented Napster. Here's why that's key. In 2008, 47% of the California population was for gay marriage, and 47% of the California population was against gay marriage. 2008. Couldn't tell where it was going to go. And if you travel back to 2008 and you said gay marriage is going to happen, people would have said, you crazy. Well, it's legal by initiative in California. But if I went back to 2008 and told you that was going to happen, you wouldn't believe me. So what happened? How'd that get changed? Because 2008 to 2016, it went from here to it's law. And there was another thing called medical marijuana or recreational marijuana. Perhaps you've heard of it. In 2010, 46.5% of Californians supported legalization. In 2010, everybody would have told you it will never be legal. In 2016, it was legal with 57% of the population supporting. So how do you go from 2008 at 47% against gay marriage to 2000 and, well, basically now where it's damn near 65, 73% in 10 years? And how do you go from 46% are against or for legalization of marijuana to 57% in 6 years? 10 years, you went from minority to dominance. 6 years went from you crazy to dominance. Marijuana, gay marriage, last 10 years, both happened by the California initiative process. Both happened by the California initiative process. The initiative process is what changed those percentages. They did 5 gay rights initiatives and 4 marijuana initiatives over those years. They didn't do one. They didn't win the first one. They didn't win the second one. They didn't win the third one. They started winning the 4th and 5th time. And it was the filing and refiling and refiling and refiling that kept those numbers going up, because every time they filed, the numbers kept going up. People kept going, God damn, these gay rights activists didn't get the message. They're filing again. It's almost like they're not going to stop till they have their rights. God damn, these marijuana activists keep filing again. Didn't they get the message 3 times in a row? It's almost like they're not going to stop till it happens. Huh. 6 years, 10 years, dominate the cycle, a law. Everybody would have told you it would never happen. Everybody was dead wrong. So there's this thing called Cal Exit with 32% support, but actually it's 47.5. Media kind of lied about that. 47.5. We are within the threshold of marijuana and gay marriage when they started their trajectory to being legal. CalExit is already within the percentage trajectory of gay marriage and marijuana from when they first started their path to being legal within 6 to 10 years. CalExit is already within the percentage of trajectory for gay marriage and marijuana when they started their path to becoming legalized within 6 to 10 years. That's the point. They kept filing, they won. Now here's the other tipping point. You remember those 2 names I mentioned to you?
Yeah, I was trying to get you to go back to that.
Yeah. So David Bonet gave $1 million to the Gay Rights Initiative, and it passed. That's the only reason it passed. They were going to fail again. But a gay man who is a billionaire said, it looks like these people are trying. I'm going to back them. I have $1 billion. What's 2 million to me? They're really trying. They won't give up. I respect that. And it's worth 2 million to 1.2 million of my dollars. That was the Gay Rights Initiative that passed. It was volunteers and paid people, and it passed. Guess what happened with marijuana? Well, it was Sean Parker, another billionaire who also had billions, who said, hey, I keep seeing you keep trying to do this marijuana thing. You know what? I like you. Here's $1 million. Go for it. And that passed. Twice. This is how we win. Activism is going to get us halfway there, and then a millionaire is going to see, you know what? These people don't stop. Here's $1 million. Go for it. Doesn't mean anything to me. Now, according to Forbes magazine, who has the most technology-rich people in any place on Earth? And second question for you. What economy on the entire planet has the highest per capita density of billionaires? It's the same answer. You can guess. Which one?
Duh.
Oh, it's California. That's right. California has the highest number of per capita billionaires, and California has the highest number of tech entrepreneurs.
New Mexico.
And the 2 people who gave $1 million were a GeoCities founder and another tech entrepreneur. See where I'm going? Billionaires, techies. We're on our 3rd, 4th initiative being filed. We're out here again. It's 5 years later. Folks, we play this right. We're right at the stage where someone goes, you know what? Screw it. I see. Here's $1 million. Go for it. So that's how we win. We're there. We can do this. Been done before. Back IC. They're going to lead. And last time we tried to have it all yes, coordinate things. That was madness. Too many. We had 40,000 people to put in holes within 48 hours. That wasn't going to happen. IC with chapters and Compact and CNP and everybody else is going to be able to handle the deluge that's going to happen. But IC is going to have to take leader and be the streets people with the initiative to make it happen. Here's the good thing. Because Yes filed it, because my name's on it, if anything goes wrong with the initiative, all the blame goes to Yes and none goes to Independent California. The only drawback to doing the initiative at all is if you don't get the signatures, you look horrible. Because they go, you didn't get the signatures, ha, 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 you're not serious. Yes, California is going to take all the blame on that. IC will take no blame. So there is literally fucking nothing to lose for IC and only to gain. Sorry to curse. Folks, that's the best argument I can make. If you don't get why you need to back IC and get chapters made, no matter what you think, I can't make a stronger argument for it. Daniel, that's all I got to say. Stop and leave it to you, brother. Take it out.
Thank you.
Or actually comments from everybody, and I'm going to be quiet.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So yeah, that being said, I'll come back around. But I know Shankar, you raised your hand. I know you guys have probably a lot of things to say about that, but also focus on what Marcus said at the very beginning. Write them down when you get your ideas. What talking points are we going to bring to the voting table to tell people? Okay, we can share all those. I think we should have a meeting on that just to share all those ideas that we have and across, cross-reference them, whichever of those ideas are best. I just wanted to say real quick because Hal, Shankar, and I, we've been, with CFC, we've been on the streets, we've been on the sidewalk. We know that you're going to get knocked down with certain statements, and you're going to refine them at the end as much as you can. So it's really like, it's trial and error. It's like Marcus said, you never know what people are going to respond, and different people respond to different things. So you really have to feel the people, you really have to feel the situation. So that's a tough one. But please keep in mind the things that we can say, and you can even mention them right now if you have them. We can go through everyone and do that. So I'm going to give it, I know Hal, you also raised, I'm going to give it to Shankar first, and then you, Hal. So go ahead, Shankar.
All right. So yeah, so everything Marcus touched on, absolutely right. So look, the chapters, there's the sole reason for chapters is for the initiative process. Great. So just to let everyone in on exactly what we're up against with putting up a statewide initiative. So look, total cost, if we want to get this down, you're looking at minimum $20 million. Now, I'm getting my numbers from the marijuana people. I'm getting my numbers from the LGBT community. So, and hold on, Marcus. Hold on. Go ahead, Marcus. Go ahead. I'll tell you how I got that, though. I mean, and how that money was spent, because I will tell you that. $4 to $5 million.
It's only 2.1 million to hire signature gatherers to do the whole thing. So
for 500,000 so $20 million. That's the signature gatherers. Say they want anywhere from $3 to $5 a signature. You're looking at $2 to $5 million. And then the next part of making this initiative happen is education. How are you going to educate the public to know about your initiative? We do that through polls. So to conduct a straw poll, have Quinnipiac or one of these companies do a poll. That's depending on how big your sample is. Let's just say it's $1 million. Okay, that's just on a regular scale. Let's say that's $1 million. Great. Now we've done the poll. We've got the outcome that we wanted. Now how do we educate the public? Commercials. We got to market it. That's another $10 million right there. Now, guys, that is just to get the initiative to pass. Yes, to get the signatures. After it passes and it goes to ballot, guess what? We're going to need more money again to market it. So look, that's the truth of it, guys. That's the truth of it. The thing that Marcus said that counts is he's right. Marijuana. It wasn't just 4 times. They've been trying this since '96. And in 2010, it failed, and in 2014, it passed. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. Not only was it Napster that gave marijuana money, but Zuckerberg foot $20 million to the initiative people. $20 million. He straight up asked them, "How much do you need to make this happen?" This is true. This is straight from the marijuana people, Marcus. This is straight. Me and Steve asked them, "How did you get this passed?" And they straight up told us exactly what happened. They told us their budget, how it happened, and Zuckerberg put up 20 mil to get it passed. Look at Zuckerberg now. He's trying to get himself into politics here and there, if you notice him. So, and the gay rights people, same thing. They got billionaire donors. But the only reason they got it is because they saw, look at these people. They keep putting up initiatives. They're not going away. They're going to keep coming back and keep putting up initiatives, and until they get their way, they're not going to stop. And you know what? I'm tired of seeing this shit happen, or I'm tired of this law not being done. I'm tired of the United States. Let's back these guys up. Guys, what do you need to pass this? That's how it's going to happen, guys. Because unless each of us know a billionaire in our back pocket to fund this thing, we're going to have to keep filing. Now, look, what we're counting on, am I counting on a millionaire coming up this time?
You're muted. Shankar, you're muted. Can't hear you. Shankar, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. You got to unmute yourself or something.
Get ready. It will be a tsunami that you have never seen before. Our site isn't ready for it yet on the backside. I'm ready for a crash in case, because we had Nation Builder with S California, and that went down for 2 days. And that is a huge, huge program. Expect that to happen. Expect a huge tsunami of people that you won't even know what to do. remember when Marcus was just said, I went to a meeting. I went to my second Yes Cal meeting as an observer, and all of a sudden I'm this like regional, like this, I'm the leader of Orange County all of a sudden. All right. I have no clue how are we exiting? I have no idea. But these people are coming up to me because I'm the only guy with a flipping blue shirt. And then all of a sudden they stopped yelling at me, realized they were both Republicans and Democrats, and they started yelling at each other about this and that. And I was like, just glad that was happening instead of just yelling at me. Thank God for a bit. But guys, this time, that's not going to happen to me, at least again. This time I'm going to be ready for this. And that's what we're counting on, is that Trump wins. Even if he loses, he's not going anywhere, guys. I don't understand why people think that, oh, Trump is going to lose. He's definitely going to lose. Even if he loses, he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. It's Trump. Look at his history. Look at his history. He's weaponized the legal system, our court system. He's not going anywhere. He'll say this was fraud, that was fraud. He goes to court. So unless the army goes in there and physically kicks him out with like a bunch of bouncers, I don't see him stepping down. I see the United States being absolutely pissed off, and Joe Biden is no better than Donald Trump. Period. End of story. And everybody knows that. So unless Biden fucks up royally somehow, I don't see how he could lose, but who knows? So that's my insight, guys. Look at that's the task we're taking on. Okay, the price tag for initiative is about I say almost $40 million, dude, and that's not even guaranteeing you a pass. And that's what the education. That's what marijuana did. That's what the gay rights people did it. But they did it after a dozen failures, guys. A dozen times not passing. Okay, you knew they were always there. Every time election season comes around, you knew the initiative, marijuana was going to be on there. Gay rights was going to be on there. You knew those were going to be on there. So that's what we want to be. One of those that aren't going to go away. So that's the scope of what's happening. That's my take on it. That's all I got to say, Daniel. Thank you.
Shankar, just real quick, if you can say it real quick, or if you don't have an answer, that's fine. But what are your suggestions of the statements that we should be putting out there to the potential signature, the people that are to convince them to sign the petition, basically? Oh,
when you mean you're on the street and you're talking to somebody?
Yeah, you've been on the street, so it's your input would be.
So look, if you're signature gathering, look, guys, I would prefer this to be hired guns that we go out. People that don't care, they carry like a bunch of clipboards and they go around, they have you sign. So those people get paid anywhere from $3 to $5 a signature. That's the way you want to do it. Going through one of those companies, having you and us do it. I have love for you people if you do that. Because that is conviction. Now, if you are out there doing that, and our chapters probably this time will be end up doing that. If you're out there doing that, you're going to get the onslaught. You're either going to get loved, you're going to be not sure about, or you're going to be hated on. Hated on, not by Republicans, but by establishment Dems themselves. More so than Republicans. Believe that. Believe that. It's the housewife. It's the Karens. It's the Karens that will attack you. So you're going to be questioned on the military to the water, through the economy. You got to know these facts. You've got to know these. We've got them all written down. We've got a white book ready to go. We've got a fact sheet that we're going to send out to all the chapters that go, hey, these are the talking points on what they're going to bring up. And here is what it is. Learn it. Everybody's not going to remember all of them the first time, but believe me, after the first 10 people that you talk to, these facts are going to pop up. At least the first top 3 topics will pop up real easily into your memory, and you will know much more about California, I think, than most people. But yeah, that's what to expect. Just the military, water, economy. That's what people are going to ask you about. Is that what you meant, Dan? Daniel?
Yeah.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah, exactly. I meant, but maybe on the next meeting we'll get more specific to the talking points actually on there. But this isn't for
those issues.
Yeah. So I'm going to go. Yeah, Hannah, real quick, because Hal was next, and then I'm going to go to you, Hannah. Hal, go ahead.
How do you follow that? Always have, it's like, well, and now the boring part of our conversation.
Wow.
Shankar, you made me almost forget what I had to say. Daniel, actually, I was going to put it forward that. What's that?
That was Marcus. I just muted him.
Okay. I would like to put it forward at this point that the next conference in 2 weeks is going to probably need to be almost exclusively on the initiative, the signature gathering, et cetera, et cetera. If that isn't already in the works, I would strongly suggest, because time is, time's of the essence. That would give people a little time to think, and the forum to voice the opinions with time to react. Beyond that, as far as the chapters go, these chapters are also how we will support locally things like local Black Lives Matter protests. It's also how we will support immigrants' rights protests. Whereas, as it sits now, we're kind of in a position where we have a few stout hearts who travel up and down the state supporting the various initiatives and what have you. Having local people on the ground will be immeasurably helpful even after the signature gathering is over. And of course, most of the people who we are talking to also have their pets, their pet issues, things that they can help liaison with those locations, whether that's the LGBT community or with Native American rights, or Black Lives Matter, or what have you. So there is fundamentally value beyond the initiative. Having said that, both Shankar and Marcus alluded to this. There is no guarantee that we're going to gain the 600,000 signatures or what have you that we're going to need. The logic now goes, we will never say that outside of this forum. We'll never say that outside this forum. Every initiative is half legislation and half media campaign, half publicity stunt. Know this. The talking points are already in a handbook. We will have them ready. I've been working on that for a while now. Funny how that works. Even if we do not succeed, I put it up behind me for a moment. Basically, it's one of our articles, it's one of our talking points. This movement, remember, this movement has no expiration date. If we succeed today, good. If we don't succeed today, we'll be back tomorrow and next month and next year and 5 years from now. And like marijuana or gay marriage or what have you, we won't fail. There's no failure. As long as we don't quit, we don't lose. Thank you.
Thanks, Hal. Thanks for that. Hal, just because I'm thinking of it, I know this isn't the subject, but as far as promo materials, it would be great. We'll talk about it in IC, but to have masks with Independent California, since we're going to be out there, and we're probably going to have these masks. It's a great giveaway. I mean, it's a great giveaway, and we're advertising ourselves. Huh?
I already got a guy working on that, man. He's it's the cloth mask, though. It's not the N95, but yeah.
Great. Great. I mean, if we can,
It's gonna be silk screened on there though. That's the only thing. So less air, I guess. Whatever.
it's a great thing to give away, and people are wearing them. You know, so it's advertising. Anyways, that's. I just wanted to before I forget that thought. So we're gonna go to Hannah now because Hannah. raised her
Okay.
hand.
First, I want to remind you that, I think we're about a month behind because we should have already had graphics and videos out already. I understand that people don't expect to have the exact final text beforehand, but we should be like organizing the CalPAC website. I would love to have you able to have a whole page with, multiple articles, links off of that to telling everybody this is how you do it at home. And I'll tell you why. First, I'm going to remind you something that you probably never have heard of it, but there's something called the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation in Honolulu. It's a $6 billion transportation project. I was heavily involved in getting the charter amendment that created that agency. And I can tell you exactly why it passed with 53% of the vote, because people were frustrated with traffic issues. And it was presented as the solution for those traffic issues. You didn't like the traffic, you voted for this amendment. So I also feel that this initiative will succeed if and only if you can harness a amount of frustration with the United States of America and convince people that this is the answer. I have just presented the little recent email where I said that frustration cannot be overlooked. My actual concern that people will think that because they get this on the ballot, we'll have a vote and then we'll be independent the next day. I think we need to, because as you well know, it creates a process in which, might lead to independence by 2022. I just want to warn you of that. My also concern is that the COVID crisis, we'll have a second COVID pandemic in exactly the time we need to bring these signatures in. We are in a different situation, I beg your pardon. This is not 2018 or 2016 because, my goodness, we now have a new situation. We should prepare for that. My personal feeling, also given the fact that there's no $1 billion or no millions of dollars to spend on a traditional campaign, I made the radical proposal that we try to get people through using social media particularly or whatever, but get people, individual Californians, to just sign 3 or 4 people up in their own household. Because as I understand the process, that's legitimate. And as far as what we do right this minute, I know someone mentioned Biden already, but I will remind you on June 11, the man said, this president will try to steal the election. And my feeling is that should be one of the main themes that everyone should be trying to boost it. This president will try to steal the election, to foil him, to show that you're frustrated with that, to show that you won't stand for that. Sign this initiative. Shell Washington, you do this, you go along with this, California's OUT out, and whoever else comes along. And frankly, when people, that should be the message. In fact, I will say furthermore that when the media comes and says, why is your petition in 2020 any different from what you failed at pretty miserably in 2018? The answer is, this is 2020. Trump will steal the election. We've never had a situation like that. And also, lastly, last 2 points to make is, of course, I don't see why we're not collecting money for this initiative now. CalPAC, the Political Action Committee, is the ideal entity for raising up money like that right now, but don't have any way to promote it because we have no money. The other thing is, another piece of hardware is, I'm actually really having real troubles getting Google ad approval, even though we're a licensed PAC. So I sure hope that some entity out there is at least able to buy Google ads, because that's double click. All the ads you see on your webpage are almost always Google. I sure hope that someone's got the official approval for their organization to buy ads, because if you don't have the approval, that can't be done immediately. You can't spend 10 cents to buy ads unless you have the approval from Google, because that's the new rules. With that, I'm going to close. But I'm here. I'm ready. I'm totally I'm behind this. I've got a website. I'm willing to do everything I can. But I think we need to think about a radically different strategy than traditional methods because we don't have the money and we may be facing COVID. Thank you.
Hannah, and actually, Hannah made a great point because we've been talking on convincing people on the merits of California independence, and why it would be good for California. But her counterpoint, which is great, is that do you still want to stay in an America that's like this? Do you like how the pandemic's been handled? Do you like this? Do you like that? Just to point out the things that are not going well in America, and logically, as a counter solution, it would be independent California could handle that much better. So that's a great point. It still goes on to the point of America's broken type of thing, but not having to say that completely, but showing how America is falling short of this. So that's a great point to bring up as an argument to voters.
Just one more point. You said America's broken, but this is why I've said we need to say America is sinking. Because when you say something is, let me finish. I'm sorry, this is my position, Hal. When you say something is broken as an engineer, certainly I think I'm going to fix that. But when you say something is sinking, I say I'm going to getting off of it.
Good point. Good point. Another strategy.
Hal, what's your reasoning then?
Unmute. Sorry. Okay.
Because even in the graphic, it looks like you're throwing them a lifeline.
Well, we could do things about the graphic, but the basic idea being that.
Basically, to be honest, it's like, why would we not say it's broken? Left, right, and center, all through, they're saying it's broken. America's broken. We have a broken system. Everybody says it's broken. They say it on the MSNBC, it's broken. They say it on Fox News, it's broken.
Yeah,
Everyone's
but they
saying
still say it's reformable.
Then we add it's broken beyond repair.
No, you could say it's burned down to the ground, but but you can't really say that.
It's broken.
I mean, honestly, it's like, why would we not use their? Why would we not? It's like you said it yourself. It's broken. You said it yourself. It's broken.
But they always promote reforms. They always promote, they always promote reforms and repairs to the system.
I think yes. I think both are good things to look over. Yes, Marcus. I will say that we can actually say what the preamble we came up with, Marcus, is America or the U.S. is broken and it can't be fixed. Therefore, we need to secede. It's broken and can't be fixed. That's what the can't be fixed is the important part. Because like you said, Hannah, broken means maybe it can be fixed. No, it can't not be fixed anymore. We've tried for 30, 40 years and it cannot be fixed.
But that's America is broken, it can't be fixed is 7 words. America is sinking is 3.
Fine. I mean, but all those are possibilities. So, but I'm going to.
But we'll try both and let's see which one works the best.
Exactly.
I like divorce.
I like divorce. But see, exactly. People, that's great. Think of all that, and we'll bring it up next meeting. All these, all these thoughts. Marcus, yes, what? It's not your turn.
Well, I don't want to get bogged down into the discussion. Let's agree that we're going to do it next week. That will be the 19th.
I just said that.
That is the 19th. I believe 2 Sundays or 2 weeks from now or something is the 19th. So let's do it that then. Okay. We still need to cover some of the technical details from the initiative. Just don't want to, yes, be thinking of phrases, but I don't want to get bogged into a technical, how do we explain this? Because we still haven't finished all the technical conversations.
Yes, that's why I reminded everybody to think about it for next time. Okay, so I'm going to go with Walter because he raised his hand next. So let me unmute you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, a quick question and then a comment. The question is, for people signing the initiative, do they have to be a registered voter in California?
I'm going to unmute you so you can answer. Go ahead.
Yes, you have to be a registered voter in California, and you can only sign in the county that you are registered with, and the petition has to go to the county registrar of voters. So if you are in Fresno County, you can only, you can collect signatures from anybody, but you can't, so you can't collect signatures from Joe Bob from San Diego County and Javier from Fresno County. They will not accept that. You can only have Fresno County registered voters, and then on a separate sheet, San Diego County registered voters. So yes, you must be a CA registered voter and an American citizen. And you can only put the county, all the counties have to be on one form.
Okay, and the comment was, I think letters to the editor of local newspapers are very important, very influential. People read that. Obviously, social media comments. When I just did a Google search for Independent California, the organization did not come up at all. It came up with Wikipedia and Yes California, and so I think somebody needs to know how to make it more prominent when you do a Google search. It looks like the Google searches that I've done are mostly negative comments about the campaign. But I want to reiterate what Marcus said earlier, because I think that while this initiative is very important for us to do and to try to get it passed, I think that the main value of it is going to be to just move the envelope along for something that's going to happen next fall. And so I think we should be pushing that and be ready. And that's why we need to be writing letters to our legislators, to Governor Newsom, about defunding the California National Guard, and get them ready to say there are a lot of people here who think a crisis is coming, and you need to be ready to take action. So the legislature, local letters to the editor of newspapers, and getting these organizations so that people can find them when they Google, I think is very important.
So just real quick, I'd like to address that, what Walter's concerned. So Walter, I mean, the reason why IC doesn't pop up on a Google search is because previous organizations that I was in have paid to come up to on the front whenever those certain keywords are mentioned. I mean, I've paid for that already. That's why, you know, and Marcus has too. That's why YesCal pops up. That's why CFC pops up. Do we want to do that in Independent California? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think we want to be the first pop-up. I think it's just too much attention. Also, I think it's going to be expensive at this point since we already paid for those keywords. But most businesses today realize that as far as their internet advertising, because they've got their competitors that have paid for those keywords. So are they going to pay the same amount for it? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. If they're big dogs, maybe they will. But usually companies will rely on just a word of mouth. Hey, this is our website. Go check it out. So, I mean, it's really up to the board and if they want to, be up there on a Google search. But our website is independentcalifornia.org or independentca.org. I mean, it's really up to Hal and really up to the board if they want to promote the website more than that. I think internally it'll go. Also, the negative stuff that you hear. So, I mean, good, great. I'm glad that's up there. I'm glad the negative stuff is up there because before George Floyd, Google up Black Lives Matter and see what was coming up. And then now look at what's coming up. So it's par for the course. It's par for the course. So it's what you're finding on the internet about the movement is, that's exactly right. That's what you're going to find. We want to improve it, of course, but it's going to take some time. That's all I got to say about that.
Thanks, Shankar. I just want to mention real quick that Hal has posted the IC Basic Handbook for all you guys to review. So I would definitely download that so you're ready for next meeting and you're kind of prepared for the talking points. So please do that now before we end the video conference. I'm going to go to Joe Payne now, next, and let's get your thoughts, Joe. If Joe is here.
I'm here. No, I think
There you go.
I just kind of I want to like second what everyone else is kind of saying. I don't really have much to add, honestly. I just have some like technical questions that honestly shouldn't even be addressed at this point anyway. So
Okay.
yeah, so just move on. Thanks, guys.
Okay, Joe. Thanks. I suppose that Jeff, are you there, or do you want to speak or not? Still, I guess not, Jeff. And I think that's it. I'm going to hand it back because I know. Yes, I know John doesn't want to. I don't think John. John, do you want to say something or?
No, I'm good. Just listening.
Okay, John. So, okay, Marcus, I'm going to give it back to you.
Yeah, let me just add some
Oh,
facts.
wait, sorry. Matt, I forgot about Matt didn't get to go. Sorry, Matt, my fault. You're on my four corners, so I didn't notice you. Here, let me unmute you. Go for it, Matt.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'm seconding what everybody else said. Now, on the point of, okay, you go to the search engine and say you're looking for independent California, in quotes, and you're not finding it, blah, 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 blah. But if an organization is known for advancing a certain demand, you click on that demand and it's like, oh, this organization here is advancing that demand. Power never concedes anything about one. Okay, so if you are known for advancing a certain demand or this or that demand, and you click on the demand and it says, oh, this organization is advancing that demand. Okay, so you've got access, then they start to look into what else you're into and all that sort of thing. Marcus has a really good demand. That is to say that the original police reform bill proposed by Black Lives Matter be passed, not this mutilation that they've got out there. I got another one for you. And that goes to the fact that we all know that the upcoming election, which coincidentally enough happens to be on our Independence Day, is going to be under a shadow. There's going to be a lot of questions, whoever pulls ahead, as to whether or not this was a legitimate election. And we can play on that sense of lack of legitimacy in advancing a demand that international observers be brought to that election. If somebody's opposed to that, they want to hide something. That's what we say. If somebody's opposed to bringing international observers to the U.S. election like they've had in Venezuela for over 15 years, then it's because they want to hide something, which, by the way, you look at opposition to international observers in Venezuelan elections, it's always from the side that's trying to overturn the government, except when they became part of the government.
So Matt, what I would like to get
if we advance a demand that this upcoming election, we demand there be international observers present, they'll look that demand up and say, oh, here's this organization over here saying this, and inter alia, we would welcome international observers to California elections. Okay, we would welcome them to California elections, but we demand throughout on the 2016 that there be international observers, so that if somebody's saying the stolen election, really, we got this, and this person all over this election like paint, and here's their reports. You show us where there's, evidence that it's been stolen.
So Matt, I just wanted to get from you real quick, like I got from Shankar and Hal, because you're, a street person. You're out there all the time. You're a foot soldier. So do you have anything to tell anyone what your perspective on having been there, what are either good talking points or how to approach, potential signature?
How many people here have actually worked as a petition signature gatherer? About 3 times.
Hal, Hannah, and Shankar.
Yeah, we've done that. So we know from the standpoint of the people we'd be paying. Okay, so if we're doing it ourselves, we know, what the drill is, and then IC is refining that, and that's outstanding for people who haven't done it before, or, there's some things that they didn't know. It's great. So we're getting some really good stuff on how to both do it ourselves and how to recruit other people. So we're ahead of the game than we give ourselves credit. And further, we're doing it with very little resources. It's amazing how much we've gotten done with how little we've got. Look at us.
Great, great. So Hal, I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you be willing to teach some of these peoples? Like, is some of these people that, if I find some people, I can refer them to you and you can talk to them?
No.
No.
Did you hear me?
No.
Are you asking how? Okay, I mean,
No, we actually,
Go ahead, Hal.
no, in all honesty, it's like, of course. And that's why I wanted to talk to Matt and I wanted to talk to Hannah. It's like the people who have been on the street, who've answered the questions, who've spoken to the people. To basically, it's like we want to create videos. Like I said before, Michael Beecher teaching people how to collect those signatures and how to, what it takes to do it. It's like what you need to do. Shankar with the talking points, Matt with his approaches, Hannah answering those questions. They don't have to be big. We don't want them big. We want 5-minute videos on a single topic just to train. Here's your, and it comes down to very simple Simon. It's exactly how we all started, and it's what we need to teach them. But we had the benefit of having one-on-one conversations or being in groups. We weren't shut in because of COVID. So what we need here is we need to be able to get that information to people online. Here's your handbook. Oh, by the way, here's what the stickers are going to look like. Here's your shirt. Oh, here's what to say. Here's how to say it. Oh, this is what you're going to need. Michael Beecher and his famous cardboard and an alligator clip, and you're ready to go, at a very cheap pen, and you're ready to go collect signatures. We need to get that information across to people, and that's what I'm talking about. Would I like to teach people? Sure. But we're always going to use the phrase. We want to do is get the chapter leads, and then we're going to teach the teachers. We're going to teach them how to teach their people and give them the tools to teach the people that they bring in to bring them up to speed as quickly as possible.
Thanks, Al, for that. So yes, we're going to you, Marcus, now, the last person. Go for it.
Thank you. Want to make sure we get everybody's points. Just want to add a couple facts in. So Tim Draper was able to qualify an initiative for $2.1 million total. Okay, my phone's not working so great at this minute. Anyway, so the last initiative that was qualified was $2.1 million, period. End of story. It did not cost more to hire signature gatherers. It was 2.1 total. That was a few years ago in 2016, 2014. Inflation has not jumped that much. If you're going by the signature count is higher, we're looking at a max of 4.1. It will not cost more than $2 to $4.1 million if you hired signature gatherers and had no volunteers. End of story. What the marijuana company was talking about was advertising. How to get people out there to sign the signature gathering. You can do that. But I'll tell you, I've seen paid signature gathering. They didn't necessarily do any advertising. They had a shirt and somebody in front of every Costco in LA. And no advertising, no money, no TV, just bodies, and they got all the signatures they needed within 2 weeks. So yes, you can spend $18 million on advertising. Absolutely, it will work. And yes, you can just spend 2.1 and get the same results. Happened. So let's recognize that. Also with the marijuana and the gay rights initiative, it was half volunteers. Yes, they got money, but no, they did not do all signature gatherers to do that. It was half volunteers. The other half was signature gatherers, which a millionaire showed up and gave $1 million. And we have more billionaires and tech people than anywhere else. And yes, they donate to everything all the time. There was also a billionaire called Peter Thiel and another one called Shervin Pishfar who said they were ready to donate. So already have 2 in the bank. I don't buy there isn't people out there willing to donate. There's a ton of money. We have more tech billionaires, more tech people than ever. They only know about this, and we already had 2 say they were willing to do it. You only need about $1 to $2 million to buttress the volunteers and get all the signature gathering. Finally, the other point about signature gathering. I hired signature gatherers. You can watch the videos. We hired them in LA and the Bay Area. They did not get more signatures in a day than Michael Beecher or me or Shankar on a good day or John Simha. I have video of John collecting signatures. I have video of paid signature gatherers. They were not better. Now, was everybody as good as John? No. But Michael Beecher was, and I was when I got good, and Shankar was. So how do all these people get to be good at signature gathering who didn't know each other before? It's almost like you want it hard enough, you can get good at it. So yes, you can hire signature gatherers. Yes, you can get it at 2.1 million. No, you do not need 20 million. Yes, you can spend 18 million on advertising. That's to get attention. That is not the same as the actual signature gatherers. Yes, those are the accurate numbers. And yes, you can do it with a half volunteer force. And Hal's right. Folks, you can say everything internally. But if you are a chapter lead and you talk to any new person, Jesus Christ, do not tell them, really, this is a publicity stunt and we're not even sure we can do it. Keep that to yourself. Never say that to any new member. Never say that publicly, ever, 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 ever. So I love you guys, but if we go, we're going to need 20 million and we're not really even going to get good signature gatherers, and it's probably not going to happen anyways, I'm quitting and not even joining. So just realize that. I'm not saying lie. Just realize what you're doing. You demoralize the shit out of people. They ain't going to do shit. So yes, we are going to get the signatures. Hell yes, we're going to win. And that's all you'll ever hear me say. Now, do I know facts that contradict that? Yes, of course. But if you say that publicly, we're dead in the fucking water. So next week, we'll talk about talking points. Do me a favor. Do not assume that you have the right talking points. Assume that 2016 and 2017 was years away from now. And the climate's changed. People thinking about new things. Now, maybe water in the military is the biggest thing. Shankar's right. Everybody was on that. We had to have good answers. And maybe that's still there. And if it is, we got the answers. But maybe they only care about, I don't know, unicorns. And if you talk about how you get unicorns and no more police brutality, that's all you got to say. I don't know. And you don't know either. We have to get out there and experiment. So I would encourage everybody to take these next 20 days to 30, go to Starbucks, talk to random family members, and start trying to sell it. Do not assume you know what's up. Test, 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 test. Then you know. Hal and IC, please send out your guidebook to the email list of 35 people so they can look at it. I think most of the answers are going to be still accurate. I'm just saying we need to test this. Finally, the training video. Everybody can do a training video. So Joe, I saw you say, hey, 20-year-olds need to do a training video. Just because IC is taking up the mantle with training doesn't mean you shouldn't make your own training videos, your own promo videos, your own commercials. Go crazy. Do it. Having too much training and logos is a good problem. Having too many training videos and too much strategy and too many logos is an awesome position to be. I would love for us to be going, we have angry debates on which one of the best ideas is out there. Great. Let's do that. And finally, I will point out, yes, this initiative was rushed. Yes, we are not preparing it well enough. You're right. But there was a thing called the pandemic response that showed the American government was failing, and it terrified the shit out of people. And then there was COVID-19 and cities burning, and that terrified the shit out of people. And frankly, people came to us and said, you need to file this today. And we said November and deadlines, and I don't care. Now. So you're right, we are not prepared. There's gonna be costs, there's gonna be loss, absolutely. That's my fault. But it's also really, people wanted it now. And as you know, politics is 50% of the game. Yeah, we didn't have this technically right. Yeah, we didn't have this right, but the political game's ready to hear it. That means you do. You don't tell people, you wait till I'm good and ready. You do what they're saying when they're saying it. So you're right, there's gonna be mistakes. It's not gonna be as good as it could be, 100% correct. I'll take responsibility for that, but we need to move the political climate's right. And people are ready for this. People just are talking in the news about America's falling down. Dan Walters, Steve Lopez. These guys have never said that before. I've read them for decades. They never talk like that. Last month they're going, Jesus, I thought these whack jobs were whack jobs, but do I have a functional government next month? We need to start thinking crazy time because crazy stuff's happening. We're there now. I thought that was the best endorsement ever. They didn't say they drank our particular brand of Kool-Aid. They've said everybody needs to look into drinking it. And now, that's smart. We're there. People are ready. People are going to be right. Yes, you can do this. Yes, you can get signatures. No, we're not going to get there all by ourselves. But if IC's the one-stop shop, Hal and Shankar, I want to apologize to you right now. We did not qualify the initiative. I'm sorry you only had 70,000 additional members on your email list and we didn't have a qualified initiative. I apologize. I'm sorry that being the one-stop shop gets you $150,000 in donations. And I'm sorry that you have 70,000 new members because we didn't qualify the initiative. All the blame goes to Yes. That's who gets all the blame. You have nothing to lose and tons of members to gain and tons of donations. And all that's going to happen, folks, is if we don't get this, the volunteer thing, the news is going to be talking about how my grandma talked to me about signing a petition last night at dinner. And everybody's going to be thinking about CalExit and IC is going to grow. And Compact and CNP and CFC, if you get out there too, you can grow too. And the worst thing that happens is you didn't get those signatures and it's only going to go right here. So I'm sorry, we may not qualify this signature. Hal, you're going to have to deal with $120,000 in donations and 70,000 new members, and I apologize. That's not the same as a qualified initiative. I'll stop there and turn it back to you, Dave.
Okay, just wanted to mention something you touched on just recently in the news, and I sent you this, I forget his name, but he was a career national security advisor for like 30, 40 years, and he basically said, again, and we're going to use that word, he said, our national security is broken. Another part of America, and he said this on video, he said, our national security is broken. So we've got departments now, the people are coming out saying their departments or their, what they're responsible for is broken. So that's also the positive thing. And then I just want to say a few things on the closing. I want to reiterate what everyone said is that this initiative, yes, we have to go look at it like it's going to succeed the best. We got to be positive about it, but it's much more to me. It always has been more that we're starting the process. And like Shankar said, we need to be there every year, every time. We need to redo this, so that people start getting used to seeing our name. And so for me, this is, 2016 was the start. We should have kept on going on it. Obviously, things happen within the organization, but now I think our will should be strong to keep on going and having this initiative back. And there's only an advantage. Marcus said, yeah, it wasn't on time. It doesn't matter. See, that's the problem with a lot of organizations. Everything has to be perfect all the time. You cannot have perfect timing, this, that. You just got to get out there and do it. And that's it. You don't know what's going to happen. You have no clue what's going to happen. So for me, it's all about that. It's not about, you know, are we going to get the signature or that? We will get those signature eventually. It's a long process. Like Mark says, we're here, you know, for the long run. We're going to be here next year, next. So it doesn't matter. For us, we can only do our best job and really believe in it, but we're going to be there again and again. So for as far as the initiative, I thank Marcus for doing that, even you know, without the prep, without the funds, without anything. Like Matt says, we are so underfunded, and it's amazing what we've been able to do already. So I just wanted everybody to stay positive on that. And I'm going to end this by saying that next, so think about those,
real quick, guys, check on the chat link. Guys, I put video up of me getting signatures, confronting, getting challenged. And there's a link right there. It's just two videos on there. And guys, nothing in here, and the people in this meeting believe this. I hope so. There's no discouraging words that can be parsed in these meetings here. These are for the people that believe in independence, period. I hope there's nobody in here that's like questioning it or wanting to find out about it. I think the people that are in this meeting are in this, right? Okay, that's what I'm assuming. Okay, guys. So there is no discouraging words that should be said in here. That this shouldn't be an issue, but that's where I'm at with that. So, but anyways, check out those two videos, guys, about going out, because I do get challenged on one, and I go at him with a bullhorn against himself. It's kind of funny. And then the second one, I'm talking to the general area with the bullhorn as well. So check it out. That's it.
What is that?
thanks, Shankar. And so I was saying just
It's up on there. It's up on the chat. People keep mentioning. So let me. Here says a photos app. Here, I'll post it again. Here. Does everybody see it?
Yeah, I see.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
I'll put more video. I'll put one of Hal up there, going at it, and then I'm going at it. You know, we're both talking, engaging with the crowd, because they come one after another, and you've got to talk to every single one of them and be cordial about it, or you know they might get hostile.
Oh, yeah.
That's all in the video. Check it out.
Shankar's right. Shankar's right.
Thanks for the link.
Right.
And just before I end this, I just want to remind everybody to think about those points, those talking points, because we're going to have in 2 weeks, like Hal said, we need to have, you know, this thing on the charters, the signature, all that stuff. Go ahead, Marcus, again.
So we need to end this panel discussion. Matt Owens, I promised, was going to give a 5-minute speech. It is completely unrelated to this topic. So you can stay, you don't have to stay, but let's end this panel discussion. Let's end the meeting. And then Matt's going to have a speech for 5 minutes. People are allowed to stay. You don't have to, blah, blah, blah. But we promised that we were going to get this. So I want to close the panel. Daniel, if you'd close the meeting.